Greetings, my name is Sirius and this is some post-commentary over a ranked match I did. Looking at this starting hand, I'm not that happy with it, but it does provide a decent amount of starting options for myself, and it has one of my favorite cards, the Long Reach of Night on it. So I decided to keep it because a Swamp and Shambling Gas opener is arguably one of my favorite, aside from an Eye Twitch opener. Alright, I do a lot of mistakes in this game, which I am aware of, and I will be pointing them out, but for the time being, I decide not to attack here because it's actually more valuable for me to keep this unit on defense, because then I can protect myself in case I need to. But because he's now played 2 creatures, I don't want to defend because I would rather keep my unit. It's the only unit I have and I'd rather keep it. On the other hand, if it had died, I could have killed one of his units, but we get to that in a moment. Demogorgon's Clutches is also one of my favorite sorceries for my black deck, because it just really messes with my opponent. Getting rid of 2 cards from their hand and 2 cards from their deck plays really nicely into my strategy, because this is kind of an attrition deck that I have going on. Nothing in my deck is really that strong, but everything is kind of really annoying. And that's exactly what I'm going for. This is an annoying deck. I built it to be annoying, to be off-putting. Again, here I could have actually killed both of his creatures, and I didn't. Which, again, in hindsight, not the best way of playing. But we are now forcing him to either discard cards or get rid of his creatures, which again is exactly what this deck is about. So either way, he had to kill a creature. If we had blocked him and killed both of his creatures with Shambling Ghast, then he would have had to drop a card, which arguably would have been the better move, but oh well. You can't change what you did in the past. And here again, I could have used the Shambling Ghast's ability to kill his creature. At least, I think. I'm not 100% sure because I'm still new to the game, but I think that if a creature goes down to 0 defense, which is the second number, in the attack phase or the defense phase of the game, then it dies. You know, the numbers go red, you know, and I could have actually killed his Vampire Warrior if I had chosen not to get the treasure. And this is a mistake I do multiple times, just because I'm greedy, just because I'm like, oh, I need these treasures. One of the reasons I do need the treasures in my deck is because I have 2 cards, really powerful cards, which need a second color of mana aside from black. And I honestly don't want to have to commit to having other or double land cards, because it really sucks when you have a land card on your hand that you don't need. On the other hand, it also sucks if you have a card that you can't play because you don't have the right land card, but you can always use the treasure. And I have multiple ways of generating treasure in this deck. If you were paying attention, you would have noticed I could have killed his Vampire Warrior again, or any of his other 1/1 creatures, but once again I decided to go for the treasure. This game could have won much easier and wouldn't have been such a game of attrition if we had used the Shambling Ghast abilities. He would have absolutely no units left whatsoever. My deck is really good at dealing with weak units. You know, like if an enemy has a lot of 1/1 units, my deck is really good at taking care of those. The one thing where my deck struggles with, or what my deck struggles with, is very strong units. Where the enemy has very strong units, 7/7, 10/10. Usually green decks can sometimes have this, where they have these giant creatures that I just can't deal with. Anyway, I am going to be playing my Reaper's Talisman, which is one of my absolutely favorite cards in this deck as well. However, I don't really have any options to make use of it right now, because I don't want to lose my Animus of Night's Reach. But I'm still going to apply the Reaper's Talisman on it, just in case. But because of his Death Touch creature, I can't attack, because I am not ready yet to sacrifice Animus of Night's Reach, even though it is one of my favorite cards to sacrifice for a very cheesy play, especially when the game has gone into an attrition phase where my opponent doesn't have a lot of cards. But you'll see that later. For now, we just have to deal with a situation that we are responsible for ourselves. Yes, we are responsible for all these creatures on my enemy side. There didn't have to be so many. Really, there didn't have to be. We do have a decent amount of swamps, which is great. Having enough swamps to summon everything you need is great. But if it's a game of attrition where you end up with only one card per turn, you don't really need all that mana. And at this point I already have 8 mana, which is enough to play any card that I could pull. Any card that I can pull out of my deck, I can play right now. Especially with those treasures. Like, there's nothing that I could pull that I can't play. Which is why, if I were to pull another swamp, that would actually be a little bit of upsetting. But, oh well. We get another Shambling Ghastbow. But, if you know, then you know. I've, again, played very wrong with this Ghast. And I'm really mad at myself in hindsight. But I know now for the future. This is one of the reasons why I watch these videos and why I do post commentary, because it helps me look at things in a different perspective. You know, it helps me look at things and be like, why did you do that? Because when you're in the zone, it's a lot different than looking at it from outside. Anyway, this Ghast is really giving me a good opportunity against him, and I know he has a magic card. I don't know what it is, but I know he has one because he keeps getting options to do something. You know, there's these small delays which tells you, oh, he does have a card that he could play, because the game keeps asking him, do you want to do something? Here I'm attacking with my Ghast because he's either going to block it with either of his creatures and lose them, or he's going to take the damage. And with the Reaper's Talisman, even the weak creature makes quite a difference. You have to think about it not just in terms of how much damage you do, but basically on the exchange of life, because this is a 5-point exchange. I get 2 life, he loses 3. So it's a 5-point exchange. Also, here again, I didn't need the treasure. I could have most likely gotten rid of his creature. Now tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if this is actually a thing. I am going to post a comment on this video if I'm going to play a match and I'm able to do it. But like I said, I think Shambling Ghast can actually work to take down units that have 2 life or just 1 life, because of his ability to reduce the opponent's creatures' attack and defense by 1. And as far as I know, as soon as the defense hits 0, you're dead, unless it's the supply phase. But in the battle phase, you're down. But again, I'm not making use of it. Just hoard our treasures, and as you can see, more treasure, because I need treasure in this deck for multiple reasons. One was one you just saw. Sacrifice a creature or a treasure and pull 2 cards. It's nice to have 2 treasure on hand, or a treasure on hand for that. 2, because of this card, because sacrificing a treasure again to draw another card. Not sure if I really needed this. Again, I'm just playing very I have a horde mentality in this match. I also decide not to use my Shambling Ghast to attack, and in hindsight, why didn't I use my Reaper's Talisman? I should have used my Reaper's Talisman instead of doing all these treasure shenanigans, because honestly, I don't think it was worth it. I don't think it was. I just recently started, building this deck, so I'm trying out a couple of things with it, and one of the main things I've just been playing around with was using treasures. But oh well. And see, again, his creature is at 2/1, and if we now were to use this ability, -1, then that creature would have died. It would have been dead. But instead, now it's a 4/4 Death Touch lifelink creature. The mistakes I'm making this game are appalling. I'm surprised I still won. I think the only reason I won again is because this is a attrition deck built for these kind of situations, built for these very long, annoying exchanges. But yeah, I'm really not doing the best I can here. Okay, now we're just going to play this card because it has a bit more defense than iTwitch. Arguably, iTwitch should also be played now. I mean, I still have 3 mana left, so should do it. Instead, I decide to get another card. Sacrifice this treasure, see what we get. It's another swamp. Okay, that brings me up to 2 mana, so I can safely play iTwitch and still have access to Undying Malice, just in case he decides to attack, and I can sacrifice my Animus of Night's Reach for a bit of a cheese play. Because there's a cheese play you can do with Animus of Night's Reach and Undying Malice, which I'm a big fan of. I'm a really big fan of, which is why in the beginning I decided to keep the hand, because it has Animus of Night's Reach on it. I think it's one of the best cards in my deck. But then again, I'm only playing on bronze tier. Could be that in higher tiers people know exactly how to deal with, and they have answers for these kind of things. I'm just thinking about how I'm going to block his creatures here. And I decide to sacrifice iTwitch instead, because there's a card I want, which is one of the most important cards in my deck, arguably as well. And the reason why I'm thinking I should probably put 2 more iTwitches in my deck and get rid of something else. I'm not sure what I'd get rid of though, but the card Introduction to Annihilation is a very powerful card, especially because it's one of the only ways of me to deal with enchantments. So for example, if my opponent had the Reaper's Talisman, or if he played Pacify, or if he has that legendary artifact, Meat Hook something or so. This is the only card I have. No, there's 2 cards I have, But it's one of 2 cards I have which can get rid of enchantment cards that are on the battlefield. It's arguably one of my most important cards. I should probably put 2 of them in my side hand. But I'd need more eye twitches, definitely. At this point, I'm usually getting 1 per match, which is good, but it would be nice getting 2 per match. Anyway, we're just fighting it out. We're just duking it out with this guy. And we're about to actually put an end to this. It's now become a really annoying game of attrition. And he has no cards left. So, it's finally time to do the cheese. We are going to get rid of everything this turn. And it's going to surprise him quite well. I think at this point he still thinks it's even. I mean, it is even. It's 7 against 7. It is absolutely even. But we are about to upset this guy a lot. Playing another defensive card here is good because then, you know, he can't kill these cards with that 3rd card he has. The 1 free card can't kill these cards. The 4 free card can kill these cards. So there's that, but you know, we can at least repel some of his attacks. And we can always use our skeleton to just be annoying. Because if you're playing it right, you can just put the skeleton back every turn. Every bloody turn. But I think I should switch 2 of my skeletons for 2 eye twitches. Or maybe go 3-3. Because I never usually have more than 1 skeleton anyway. I don't know. Like, I have 4 of those skeletons because I really like the ability to just keep getting it back. I decide here that I would go with the Eye of the Tyrant creature because it has menace as well. So I can force him into having to choose what to defend with. Animus of Night's Reach obviously has Death Touch, so he can't block it with his warrior. But he then can't block the 2nd creature, the Hive creature, because it also has menace. And if he blocks the Hive creature that wouldn't kill him, then he can't block Animus. It's I also made my Animus weaker by mistake, but it's fine because we plan to sacrifice it anyway. So here we go. It has Death Touch, so both these creatures die either way. He will only have 1 creature left, and he has no cards. So this is the perfect opportunity. This is the absolute perfect mad setup that we need in order to make this guy absolutely shit his pants. There we go. If you pull Animus of Night's Reach back onto your battlefield with Undying Malice or Feign Death, you play it as a Saga again, and if the opponent doesn't have any cards, it just sacrifices his creature. Simple as that. He isn't retaliating just yet. He hasn't given up just yet. He wants to see what card he pulls because he might be able to win still. But there we go. That's game. This was a tough one for me to watch back because I could have probably won, I don't know, 5 minutes ago if I had used my Ghast's abilities better. Like I said, I'm going to leave a comment to let you know if Ghast can be used that way. If it can't be used that way, then this would have been the best I could have played. But if you can use Ghast to kill units with 1 defense in the battle phase by not getting the treasure, yeah, I'm a big fool. But again, every game is a learning opportunity, and I hope that you enjoyed analyzing this match with me, and I might be posting more of these. Cheers.